Hello everybody. I hope everybody's well today and having a good day so far. Today we're going to be looking at product invoices and an introduction. So I'm Laura, if you haven't heard me before, and I'm going to be hosting the webinar today. And we've also got Michael in the background waiting to answer any of your questions as well. So mainly around this topic, if you do have any unrelated questions, though, we will try and answer those, but we will prioritise the questions around product invoices there. So do pop them across. Anything we don't get round to answering though live, we will get back to you after the session though. So we'll be covering service invoices as well on a separate webinar, which is going to be running on the 9th of December at 11 o'clock. So this one's going to be around product invoices today, as the title would suggest there. But if you do want to get yourself registered on the services invoice one as well, that's going to be running. I have popped a link in the slides there too. But we've got 45 minutes booked today, so we should get enough time to sort of go through any questions at the end as well there. So as usual, before we get started, just some housekeeping rules. So your mic will be muted automatically, but you'll see there's a little question icon on the toolbar where you could submit any questions you may have for Michael. So just make sure you pop them in there and keep them busy. And I'll also be including the slides in the handout section there, as there are, like I said, links at the end which you might find useful. So if you do want to download those, make sure you just do that during the session. And there's also, as usual, a printer-friendly version if you'd like to make some notes as well. So today I'm going to be giving you an introduction into how to process a product invoice from start to finish in your Sage 50 account software. Following that, I'm going to go through a series of demonstrations within the program just so you can see how that works, and we'll have a look at the surrounding areas around the product invoice there as well. And as always, I've got those slides and the links on there as well, just to our help centre, just so you can have a go at your own pace as well there. But before we start looking at the invoicing, I just want to run a couple of polls just to see where everybody's at with creating invoices. So I'm going to have a look at just launching the first one here now on your screen. So I'll just get that done for you. So I just want to see, do you currently use invoicing within your Sage software? So if you can just pop in an answer, so either yes, if you're using just product invoices, if it's just service invoices that you're using, or if you're using product invoices. Using a combination of them both on there, or you might not be using any of them on there. So if you just pop a submission on there for me, and then we'll just have a look. I'll give you a couple of seconds there just to see who's using what. So I can see them coming in there. Just give you a couple more seconds. Yeah, so it looks like most people are using sort of a combination on there. Some people are using service invoices and not product invoices just as of yet there. So I'll share those results. Just a second, just give you a couple more seconds there. Right, I'll end that and I'll share those results there. So we've got 67% which are using service invoices only, and we've got 33% are using product and service invoices on there. And then the other poll that I just want to run is just to see how you're sort of sending those details out to your customers there. So I just launched the second one on there. How do you send your invoices to customers? So I just want to see if you're sending them out via email, if you're printing them and then posting them out to customers, or if you're doing a combination of both on there. So I think a lot of it's sort of moving away from printing things out, and a lot of people tend to email them, but I just want to get an idea of how you're using that on there. Are you printing them and then posting them to your customers, or do you just send them and attach them to an email? Just give you a couple more seconds. I can see them coming in there. So we've got a bit of yeah, I don't think many people, so it doesn't look like anybody sort of just prints them out there. I'll just give you a few more seconds. We'll see them coming in there. It's a good split like last time. I think it maybe is the same on there for it. So I'll just end that and I'll show you the results for that on there. So we've got 67% of people are emailing them out, and we've got 33% are using both on there. So it's just a good indication. It shows that nobody's really just printing them out on their own, either going out via email or sending a copy out in the post there as well. So if you sell products, you can raise a product invoice to print and send to your customers and also email there as well. There's 3 key steps to the process. So the first step is going to be entering your invoice for the product is going to be done in your invoices and credits module within the program, which we'll have a look at in a moment. Once this is entered, you can then print or email and send it to your customer. Following that, you would then post the invoice to the ledgers by clicking on Update Ledgers, and that means the value is then going to appear on your customer and nominal accounts, and it's going to adjust your stock levels for you as well. So that's an important step there. In what order you either update the ledgers or print or email the invoice out, it doesn't actually matter for the last 2 steps there. So if you wanted to enter the invoice, update the ledgers, and then print or email it, you can do it that way around. So that part of it doesn't matter too much. It's just personal preference on that side of things there. But those are going to be your 3 key steps there. But what I would say about that, if it's something that you want to have a go at yourself and you're not sort of too familiar with creating these invoices, try it in the demonstration data or the practice data, because that way you can play around with it and you're not in your live data at that point. You're just in a set of data that's set up by Sage if you're in the demonstration data. If you're using version 30 or above, you can also restore a backup of your data into the practice data as well, and then just have a play around with it with your own customers, your own products on there as well. And it's outside your live data, so you can't do any harm to your data that way. So enough of the slides for the moment on there. What we'll do is I'll pop into the program and we can have a look at it just in a bit more detail there. So within Sage, I'm using version 32 of Sage on the professional level of the program there. So the first thing we'll do is we'll have a look at the invoices and credits module just on the left-hand side here. So we'll go into here first of all. And what I want to do is click on New Invoice just on the top bar here. That'll open up a new invoice window for me. Now you can see along the top, it's defaulted to a product invoice, and you can change that. And I'll show you later on just in settings. If you tend to use service invoices more, you can have it default, so it just opens on a service invoice for you. But we'll have a look at the items on the right-hand side here. So first of all, we've got the type, which is invoice. So it's defaulted to an invoice on here. There is a drop-down. So if you're using the professional level of the software, you're also going to get the pro forma option. So pro forma invoices are often used in things like foreign trade as the buyer's proof of future sale when applying for things like import licenses. But we're going to be concentrating obviously on invoices at the moment. The next option we get is format. So this is where you can decide how you want it to open. So it defaults to product invoice, as you can see here. There is a drop down if you're using a service invoice. Obviously, you could just change that there. We're looking at a product invoice today, so I'm going to leave it as product. And like I said, you can change it so it'll default and open on the service invoice if you want to as well. But I'll show you that within the settings a bit later on there. Then we've got date. So quite self-explanatory on there. So the date on there, it can be amended if needed. So you can click into it. You can just type over it there. You can use the little calendar icon, choose your date that way as well. But the date on here, it picks it up from your program date, so from your computer, but you can backdate it if you want to. You can future date them too. So that's obviously changeable, but it just defaults to your program date on there. And then we've got the account. So this is where you can choose your account. So if I use the drop down window on here, you can see I've got 3 customers set up. So I've just kept it nice and simple just for the demonstration on here. So there's not a lot of information showing. So you can choose your customer from here. And obviously, if you've got more than 3 customers like myself, you can search for customers on here as well, just by typing it in and just searching for them on there just to make it a bit easier. But if I just select customer 1 for now, see here it's populated customers details and address just in this window here. There is a little smart link here as well. So when you click on the smart link there, it'll just open up the customer's record. Just if you did need to go into that from there, so you don't actually have to close out of the invoice window, you can pop into it just to have a look at it if you need to as well there. And then we've got the invoice number. So the invoice number is going to be set to auto number as shown just here. So the number that's allocated to the invoice once you save it. So once you've filled all your details in, you're happy with that invoice, You then click save. That's when a number is allocated to that particular invoice. And it's mainly just so if you have multiple people entering invoices at once, it means there's no duplications there for it. And then under that, we've got order number. So if you're using the professional level of the software and you have a sales order, which you dispatch and create an invoice from, that's going to automatically pull the sales order number through for you onto the invoice. If you're not using or you're not generating via the sales order option, then you can click into the box. You can actually type in, you can put in your own order number or own reference number if you want to in there, or you can just leave it blank. And then below that, we have the due on date. So the due on date on there, that's calculated and it's automatically based on your customer's payment terms within your customer's payment record. So again, you can manually change this. So if you decide that actually you don't want that due on Boxing Day, you want to give them a little bit longer, again, you can click into that, you can change that, and you've got the little calendar icon as well that you can use there as well. And then here we've got the customer order number. So if you've been provided with one, you can type that in and enter it there, or again, you can leave that blank. Then we've got the product code. So we'll go down to here and I'll come across these in just a moment, but I'm just going to show you the product code. So I've only created one product just to keep it nice and simple for us. And I've just created a product code for bricks on there. So if I just select my product code, it's going to pop it into there, gives me the description. And then I've also got this little drill down option on here, which when I click onto this, it's going to open up for me on the other window naturally, the edit item line window. So within the edit item line window, we've got the product codes. That's the product that I've just selected there. We've got the option of units on here as well. So if you sell something, for example, it might be that you sell something by either the sheet or by the roll, and it's just for reference only in there, but you can pop the details into there. We've also then got the description of the item. And you can also add comments in here as well. So if you need to, like if you had maybe a batch number or a serial number, or if you wanted to put in some conditions around the item as well, you can pop those details into there just for a bit more information on that line. And then we've got the order reference on here as well. So again, this comes from if you're using the professional level again, and you're using that sales order option, it'll show the item's position in the order, and that can't be amended. So that's sort of, you can see I can't click into that. That's something that's sort of grayed out on there, but it would just pull those details through from a sales order. Then below that, we've got our values on here. So the values on there, so at the moment I have got the quantity just showing as 1. So you can just see in that column behind there, and we've got it shown as 1 on here. We can change that in here if we want to, either just by typing into the box. And you've also got a little keypad option as well. So if you want to change it, you can just key it in there as well if that's easier. And then below that, we've got the unit price as well. So that's just pulled from the product record on there. So we've got the quantity 1 and the unit price showing on here as well. We've also got discounts as well. So if you want to apply a discount within here for it, so you can either apply a discount per line, is shown just from this window, from your edit item line window. If you're just wanting to do it by line, you can either apply a percentage discount, or you can apply a discount, just a set amount on there as well, just by typing it into here. And that will obviously edit or change your net and your VAT amounts for you as well. So if I change this and I say I've got 5 items on there and they're £2 each on there, we can pop in a discount on there if we wanted to, and it's just changing those figures there. As you can see, it's just amending them. And then we've got the posting details. So the posting details, these pull through as default from the product record. So your nominal code and your tax code. And if you're using departments, it'll pull through the department as well. So these are set within your product record on there. But again, you can change them in here if you want to per line. There's no problem in doing that as well. And then at the bottom here, we've got sort of additional information or additional discount options, which I won't go into in too much detail on that at the moment, because that's a full webinar in itself. It's going to add another 45 minutes at least to the end of this webinar if we go into all of that now. But there is a webinar on discounts available, which Michael actually covers, which is on our recordings page. So if you do want a bit more information about the additional info and these discounts down here, things like price lists and things like that, that's covered by Michael. It's just on our recordings page. But I'll close out with this for now, and we'll have a look at the order tab on the left-hand side. So the order tab, this includes the delivery address, as you can see. So it pulls it through just from the customer record on there, if you've got a default delivery address saved for the customer. If you've got more, you can change it just by clicking on change. It'll bring up the window. You can select a different address if you want to, and then just click OK. I only have the one address set up for this particular customer, but you can change it in here just by clicking OK, and it'll change it on there. You can also type it into here as well, or if you've got it copied on the clipboard, you can click on paste address. It'll just paste it straight in there for you as well. In here, as it says, you can add a note, which is just an internal note on there as well. And we've also got the customer order details shown in here as well. So we've got the customer's name, customer's telephone number, and then who the order's taken by. So this is who's logged into Sage and actually inputting the order in here. So I'm logged in as manager, so it just shows manager on there. If I was logged in as myself and I was using the username Laura, it would just pull the name Laura through on there as well. And then we've got custom fields down here as well. So these can be used to record additional information, things like if you've asked the customer, where did you hear about us maybe, that can be recorded in here as well. But again, there is a whole webinar on customer fields as well, or custom fields, I should say. So if you do want to have a look at that, that's just on our recordings page as well there. But it's just another way of analysing the data. And then we've got the footer tab on the left-hand side here. So from the footer tab on here, this is where you can have your information or enter information around any carriage charges. So you might have set up a carriage charge already within settings. I haven't set one up, and I can show you how to set one up as well on there. But at the moment, I've just got this blank, so we can fill this in if we want to. But if you've got a set carriage charge that you were charging for everybody, you would have that in settings and it would just pull through to here, but I'll show you that later. And then we've got the settlement terms, and that just pulls from the customer record. So if you don't have any set up like me in here, you can enter it into here if you want to. So say I want to have it within 30 days in there, I can just type that into there and change it from here. And then we've got global changes as well. So global changes, if you complete this section, the invoice updates one transaction using the same nominal code, tax code, details and department that you've entered here. So if you've got an invoice that's got, say, 10 lines on it and you've got various different tax codes or nominal codes within there, if you enter details into here, it'll post everything using that one particular nominal code, one tax code, details and department. I don't know a lot of people or heard a lot of people who've used that. But that is available if you want to post the transaction and just have it using that one particular set of details. And then we've got our payment options in here as well. So the payment details, it records any payments that have been received. So if you've taken a deposit maybe, you can record that here and the payment type that you want it to show as well within the program. So you can either allocate it to the invoice, or you can have a payment on account, or a payment that you've already received and recorded within Sage. And then in that case, it won't post any additional transactions. So I will sort of demonstrate this when I input an invoice as well, just so you can see that. But you've obviously got options for popping in a reference, making sure you're just choosing the right bank account as well. And then you've got your payment that you're going to be popping in there, and then how much is outstanding. But I'll show you that in a bit more detail when I run through a demonstration of it. But it'll either post it as a payment on account, it'll allocate a payment to the sales receipt. So when you update the ledgers, it'll post that invoice and it'll post the sales receipt as well and allocate them together for you. So it's sort of cutting a bit of time down for yourself there. There's also the pay by deposits or pay deposit by card option. So if you use a PO, you can actually use the pay by deposit card button just to take a card payment as well. And that would just post it as a sale on account. As you can see, you click on the other ones, it grays out there. So that would just post a sale on account. Because at the moment, when you post the invoice, it wouldn't have updated to the ledgers. That's why it posts it as a sale on account there. So I'll pop back into our details there. The one other thing that I'll just mention on the screen, and then I'll go through posting a couple on there, is the net value discount at the bottom. So I mentioned that you could add on discounts per line on there, just within the edit item line window. So you could either add the percentage discount on, or you could add a one-off discount on there, and that would be per line. If you wanted to just add on a net value discount, so if you had multiple lines in here and you think, right, I just want to add a 10% discount to all of them on there, if we click on that, I'll just show you this window. You can just pop a description in here. You could add on your discount, so either a percentage discount or just sort of a flat amount that you want to apply as a discount on there, and that'll apply that to all of the lines within your invoice there. So it saves you having to go into each individual line and put the discounts on. If it's all going to be the same, you can just do that from here. So we'll post an invoice on there now, just so you can see what that actually looks like. So I've got my customer already set up. I'm using customer 1. I'm going to leave the rest of these details the same here. I've got my product code in there as well, which I've chosen from the drop-down box. And I will touch on these options a bit later as well. So I'm going to cover those in a moment. But at the moment, I'm just using the product that I've created. I'm going to say have a quantity of 5 on there, gives me the unit price, and then it gives me the net and the VAT amounts on there as well. So if I did want to post a discount to all of them, I can click just into this window and say if I give it a 5% discount, click on there just so you can see that it's brought it off the figures there and it shows the outstanding amount that we've got. So if I click save to that, and I just want to show you what it looks like in the program before we update any ledgers. So at the moment, it's posted my invoice. We've got the invoice showing on here. We've got the amount that's due. And in the posted column, it's not showing anything at the moment. If I go to transactions, so there's nothing posted within my audit trail. I've got no transactions showing. If I have a look on my customers activity, just go back into here. I'm just going to open up the customer record just to show you the customer activity as well. We've got nothing posted against the customer at the moment, so nothing shown. So even though we've created the invoice, there's still nothing showing. And then if we go to products and services on the left there, and again, I'm just going to open up the activity on here. All we've got is the brought forward balance. So there's no postings on here yet for any sort of goods out. And that's because we haven't updated the ledgers yet. So that one of the calls we used to get through on tech when I worked on tech was that we created an invoice, but it hasn't adjusted any stock. It's not showing on the customers. I can't find it in the transactions because the ledgers haven't been updated yet. So once we hit update ledgers at the top there, everything's going to open up on the other screen. You get the option to either print it. You can preview or you can save it to a file on there. But I'm just going to preview it so I can show you. I'll maximize that just so you've got a chance of seeing it. And see there, when we update the ledgers, it gives you a printout of what's actually been updated. So we know it's a sales invoice, transaction number 1, invoice number 1, and then we've got the details of that transaction on there. So if we close out that and we go to transactions, and we can see we've now got that sales invoice transaction showing in here. In the reference column, you'll notice it's got number 1. That's the invoice number that it's pulled through on there as well. We go back to invoices and credits. We can now see in the posted column, it says yes, it's been posted to the ledgers. And if we have a look at the customers activity now as well, by clicking on activity at the top, or you can double click on the customer, you can see we've got that sales invoice on here and it's showing on the bottom as well. So that's known as the splits. There's nothing that's been allocated to it as of yet. All we've done is just posted that invoice. You'll notice as well, there's a little smart link here as well. So in the customer activity, if you click on that, what it'll do is it'll open up the invoice for you. So rather than you having to come out of the customer activity and then go and search for the invoice within invoice and credits, you just click on that smart link, it'll just open that straight up for you. And that was just there, just next to your type. So if I close out of that, we'll just have a look at the products and services and have a look at the activity. And we can now see we've got a goods out transaction showing in here. We've got the invoice number. And again, you've got that smart link. So that takes you straight back to that invoice as well on there. So we'll close out of that. So we'll post another one. I'm going to go back to my invoices and credits. And I'm going to click on invoice, new invoice at the top there. And we'll post one and we'll allocate a payment to it as well this time, just so you can see what that looks like. So I'm going to leave all these details the same again, but I'm going to choose customer 2. Say OK to that. Let's put up my customer's details. I'm going to choose the very exciting bricks again. OK to that. And you can click in the boxes or you can tab across. And I'm just going to say quantity of 10 this time. And it's brought all the figures up there for me. So we've got the VAT amount and the net amount on there. If I go to my payment tab on the left-hand side there, we can see the amount that's due is £24. What I want to do is post a payment which is going to allocate it. So say they've made a deposit payment and I just want that allocating it to the invoice when we post it. So I'm just going to put in deposit in my payment reference column. I'm going to make sure I've got the right bank account, so you can choose and you can change your bank account if you want to, just with the drop-down box. I'm going to leave it at my 1200. And then I'm going to say they've paid a deposit of £10. And you can see now the amount that's due has now changed and it's just £14 that's left. So if I go back to my details tab, and we can see here, we've got £24 that was due. We've got less the deposit, which was £10 that they've paid, and I'm just going to save that. And I'm going to close it. So just the same as before, we've now got invoice line number 2, customer number 2. We go to transactions, again, because we haven't updated the ledgers, it hasn't posted anything in here. The same goes for the customer's activity as well. So if we just have a quick look at that, go into their activity there, got nothing showing in there. And the same for the stock. So if we go back into that stock product, go into activity, we just got customer 1's goods out transaction that we posted before. So I'm going to update it to the ledgers. I'm going to go back into my invoice and credits module, and then I'm going to highlight the line that I want to update. You can highlight more than one line as well. So if you had several items here that you needed to update the ledgers for, you can do that sort of with a few of them on there. We can see here the top line, that's the one that we've already posted. This is the one that we need to post. It hasn't been posted yet. So I'm going to click on update ledgers again, drag it over so you can see. I'm going to preview it. And you'll see this time it's got 2. I just scroll in so you can see that a bit better. It's now got 2. So it's telling me that invoice 2, it's posted the sales invoice for it. And it's also, so that's transaction 2, it's also posted transaction number 3, which is your sales receipt as well. You can see the nominal codes that have been used, and also that's the payment received on there. And then we've got the outstanding amount of that £14. So it's posted 2 transactions for us. So a close out of that, go into transactions, and we can see here we've got our sales invoice that it posted with the reference invoice number 2. And we've also got the sales receipt that it's posted as well, which is the deposit on there, again, which references invoice number 2 as well there. So it's posted both of those and it's allocated that sales receipt to that invoice as well. So it's done that step for you too. So the important bit that I would say is that update ledgers on there, because before you update the ledgers, it's just sitting in your invoices and credits module. It's had no impact on your customer account or on your stock either. So your stock has just remained the same too. So that's the important step on there. For printing them, so if we have a look at if we're wanting to print them out there, so if we go back to our invoices and credits module, if we're wanting to print them out, all we need to do is highlight the one that you're wanting to print, and we can click print at the top here, just in the middle. And if you can't see any of these options or items along the top here, if you right click, you'll see you've got options here. It may just be that one of them's been unticked on there. So if I untick quick print, disappears off there. It may just be that it's just been removed off there. So if I tick it again, it brings it back for me. But if I click on print and just show you what that opens, it'll open up the layouts window. Now I've already got one that's in my favorites. If we didn't have it in the favorites, if I just untick that there, you might have it where it looks like this. If we click on layouts on the left hand side, you'll see there's quite a few different layouts to choose from. And you might even have a customized layout in here as well that you want to use. And if that's the case, you can use that one as well. But if I just choose, I'm going to say just this one here, I'll pop it back in my favorites just by clicking on the star. But we can either print from here or you can email it from here as well. But I'm going to preview it first of all, because sometimes it's good just to have a look and see what you're printing out or what you're sending. So if I just click on the preview, and it'll open this up for me. And there's our invoice there. And from the top, you can either print it from here or you can email it from here as well. You can also add things like a logo or bank details or change the text. And these are all things that can be done within the Report Designer window. There's some really good Report Designer webinars as well, which Michael's done, which are on our recordings page. They ran last month on there. So have a look at those if that's something that you want to add on there, because it can really make a difference to your invoices. Just having the details on there, it makes them stand out. If you've got like a logo, your details on there, it makes it more recognizable to your customer as well. I'll just close that window there and close out this one. And then we've also got the email, the quick email option at the top here as well. So if you've got sort of using a default layout, so if you've got a default layout that's already been chosen, and again, I'll show you that in settings if you don't have that set up. If you click on email, what'll happen is it'll just send it out, get 5 of 6 on there, and then it'll just pop it straight to the report's been successfully output to email. But I'll show you just if you don't have that option set up as a default in your settings as well in a moment. Then we've also got the quick print option. Now I'm not set up for a printer, so it's not going to go anywhere, but just by clicking on that, if you've got your default printer set up already and your layout as well, within the settings, again, I'll show you that in a moment, it'll just print that straight out for you too. So that's just another option. Rather than having to go into print, selecting your layout on there, you can use one of these quick options as well there. So we'll have a quick look at the special codes, and then I'll come back and we'll have a look at those settings, because there's a few different settings that I want to show you as well. But if we just have a quick look at those special codes that I mentioned before. So if I just go to new invoice again, and I'll just use the drop down just so I can show you. So we've got there's 4 different items that we can use on here. So these are more for one-off items where you don't have a product record and you don't want to set a product record up for them. So if you've got a one-off item that you've sold, you can use what's called a special product code on that item on here. If you can't see these when you click on the drop down box, you may have it turned off in settings. And again, I'll show you where that is when we have a look at the settings in a moment. So if you're thinking, well, I can't actually see them in mine, make sure you've got it selected on product invoice first of all, because they won't show on a service invoice. But also just make sure that it's switched on in settings, and I'll show you that in a moment. But we've got S1, which is this item line here, and that's tax chargeable. So the tax code is going to default to a T1 tax code. We've also got an S2, which is just the same as before, but this is a 0 rated, so it defaults to a T0 tax code. And then if you're using the professional level of the software, you've got an S3, which is a special service item, which again is tax chargeable, and that one defaults to a T1 tax code as well. And then we've got the message line, which is your M code on there. And that's just a way of adding additional text to an invoice. So adding a bit more information like a delivery date, for example. So there's no actual tax codes or unit prices for that amount. It just adds a bit more text on there. So if I show you what I mean by that, if I just cancel out of this, I'll pop another quick one on again for bricks. I'll just use my customer number 1 and I'll just tab along just so I can show you what this looks like. If I use my message line, it'll open up a little window like this on here. And if I just want to say maybe it's delivery after Christmas, pop that on there, and you can see it's not entering any details on here You can then just save that, just like a normal invoice, close it, and you'll see on here, we've got number 3. It's just a normal invoice. The only difference is when you have a look at it, so if we double click on it, you've just got additional information underneath it on there. So it's just got a bit more information on that line, which is quite handy if you can't fit more information on the notes there and on the edit item line. So I'll close out of that on there, and I'll show you the settings as well, because there's a few different settings on there. So if we go to settings at the top, and I realise there's quite a lot of information that we're going through is here, but don't worry, you will get the recording of this within about an hour's time after the actual webinar's finished there. But if I go to settings at the top, and I'm going to go to invoice and order defaults, and you just get that message saying it's going to close all the other windows, and that's fine. Just meant if you were halfway through running an invoice or creating an invoice, it'll close it out then. I'll just drag that over again for you. So under general, we've got show special product codes in invoicing. If that's not ticked, that's why you can't see those items in there. So just make sure you've got that ticked first of all if you are wanting to use those special codes on there. Then in options, if we click on options along the top there, we've got invoice and order numbering on here. So we've got where invoices start from. So in here, you can select the number your invoices start from. So this might be used if you already have invoices from another system, for example, and you don't want them to start from 0 again. Or if you haven't started using the invoicing module yet, and you're about to start using it, and you want to keep your invoicing sequence, you don't want to just sort of go back to 0. So say my last invoice number was 300, and I need to start my next invoice from 301. If I type that into there, and I'm just going to say OK to that. If I go back into my invoice and credits, and I'll just quickly create another invoice with bricks, use customer number 2 this time, put my bricks on there. I'll just quickly tab across just so I can show you. I'm just going to save that and close it. And see there, my next invoice is 301. So like I say, that's more just if you've got invoices from elsewhere and you don't want that to start from 0, you can change that so it starts from a number that you're putting into there. If I just go back into settings again, in invoice and order defaults, then drag it across because it's opened on the other page. Back in options, so you can also down here, you can change the default tax code for those special item lines as well. So you can change it, obviously, just using the drop-down box. If you need to change that, the tax code that you're using for any of those, that can just be done from it down here as well. And then if we have a look at those, so the quick print and the email settings that I mentioned before. So if you don't have a default layout set for that, we'll click on quick print. You can see here, I've got a layout selected in there. If you have nothing in there, or if you've got one that you're not using, if you just click on browse, you can choose the layout that you want to use. So just by selecting that, when you then click on quick print, it's going to select that particular layout. And that's exactly the same for email as well. So that quick email button, if you select the layout that you want to use just by using browse, when you click on email, you saw there when I clicked on it, it just quickly gave us that message, and it just said it'd been output to email. It's just used my preferred layout, and you can change that at any time. You can obviously do the same for your quotations and purchase orders and things like that as well in here too. And then the last thing that I want to mention on here is the update ledgers as well. So I'll show you, before showing you on there, just from our transactions module. So we've got here these 2 columns. You've got your reference column and you've got your extra reference column. So you can choose, when you update the ledgers, you can choose what information you want to transfer across to the individual transactions within the reference and the extra reference column. And you can choose what you want pulled through into those fields on here. And I'll show you just in the settings, the drop downs that you can choose from. We normally recommend using the invoice number and the reference in the reference number column. It just means you can filter and you can search for it if needed. So you can see there, it's quite obvious. I mean, obviously, if you've got a lot of transactions, you can put a filter on, or you can search for the reference field, and you can actually search for your invoice number using the reference column on there. So it is handy to have your invoice number noted on here. And then you've got your extra reference as well. But if we go back to settings in invoice and order defaults, you can change what it pulls through onto there if you prefer. So if I go to my update ledgers, so just in here under customers, update transaction reference with and update transaction extra reference with. So it's defaulted to your invoice number and your order number, but you can see there you can change that if you want to. So you can have your order number in the reference column if you wanted, or you can have your customer order reference number. For your extra reference, it's just the same three options, or you can just change it to nothing so it doesn't pull anything through. But it just gives you that sort of, if you want to change that and put those details on there. And then quickly, the last thing, because I know that we are sort of running low on time there, was more just if you wanted to have a go in your demonstration data, just by going to File at the top and Open, you can open your demonstration data from here. So if I click on Open Demo Data, you'll see my company's called Invoices. It's quite cryptic. It'll change to our demonstration data, which is stationary and Computer Mart UK. So that's just a preset set of data. It's not linked to anybody else's demo data. It's just your demo data. You can have a play around. It's got customers. It's got invoices in here. You've got products and services. So you can have a play around. You can create those invoices. You can it doesn't matter. You can't break anything in here. It's outside of your live data. And it just means you can have a go at whatever you want to try out first before using it in your live data. The other thing you can do, and some people find this easier, is if I go to File and Open, go to Practice Data, you've got two options for this one. So you would have seen with my data set there, I had 3 customers and just the one product on there, the bricks. You can just set up a couple of customers and a product just to make it a bit easier so you haven't got a lot of other data that's clouding what you can see in the background when you're trying something out for the first time. So you can just choose to use a blank set of data and just create a couple of things in there. Or alternatively, if you're using version of 30 or above and you've just got a backup of your live data, you can back up your data into the practice data, and you can just have a go of it in there. It means you can use your customers and you can use your stock on there, so it's familiar to yourself, but it's completely outside of the live set of data. So you can't break anything in there because it's outside of your live data. So sometimes people prefer to do it that way as well. So I'll just close out of that. We'll pop back to the slides there. So I've added links on here as well, just as promised, to our help centre. So the first one, create a product invoice, it just goes through the step-by-step process that we've looked at there. But I've also included the handy article about the different types of invoices that you can create within Sage 50 accounts as well. I've also included a guide around those special codes that I mentioned in the demonstration for when you don't want to create a product record there, but you need to create obviously the invoice for it. So I've included that too. And then for anything else that you might be looking for, I've also included a link to our help centre where you can access all our webinars, both live and the recordings on there, because there was a few that I mentioned on there that might be worth having a look at. And then you've got your guides and your Sage University on there as well, which is really helpful. But at the bottom, I've also included a link here for our live webinar for creating a service invoice. As I know today, obviously, we've concentrated on product invoices, but we're going to be running one on service invoices too. So I've added that link here, and that's going to be running on the 9th of December at 11, and then also on Monday, the 15th of December at 11 as well. Obviously, both in the morning. We're not going to be doing that close to midnight. So if you do want to get registered for those, I would suggest having a look at that link on there. I'll just keep that open just for a moment longer. It does look like that Michael's been on top of the questions on there, so that's good. So I'll just give that a moment longer. And like I say, I know there was a lot of information in there as well, and hopefully I haven't gone, talked quite fast as well. So hopefully I haven't gone too fast for you there, but I've given all the details for it. But you'll get that recording in about an hour's time. So then you can have a look at it and go through it at your own pace. Maybe pass it to a colleague as well if they're wanting to have a look at it. But you can also access our webinars page at sage.co.uk/webinars. All the past recordings are free on here to view, along with signing up for our upcoming webinars as well. The link's just on the slide for you. We've got plenty going on in December, so I would have a look on there. And then just while we're finishing off, I just want to remind you about our one-to-one bespoke training sessions that we've got as well. So these are our block hour sessions, which are over Teams with one of our trainers who can provide training and answer your questions about how you want to use your software. So it might be that you just want to make sure that you are getting the most out of how you're using it. Or if you've got new starters and you haven't got the time to sit and train them, let us do that. So get in touch with us and we can have a look at it for you. But if it does sound like something that would be useful, if you pop us an email just at the email address shown on this screen there, and then we'll get back in touch with you just to discuss that further. But that does bring us to the end of today's session. So I hope you found that useful and have a go at it yourself. Like I say, have a go on the demonstration data. You can't do anything wrong in there. But as always, you're going to get that survey just when leaving today's session. So I'd love it if you could leave us any feedback or any comments around what else you'd like to see on a webinar, perhaps, or if you'd like to see anything done differently. But for now, thank you for attending and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day there.